I'm Vyjayanthi Kashi, a Kuchipudi danseuse from Bangalore, India. I've been asked to speak about my journey in Kuchipudi. I know, but in the limited time that's given, it's difficult to express, but I shall try to. It's almost 33 years into dancing, out of which I should say 22 years into Kuchipudi. I started off as a Bharatnatyam dancer with my tender limbs under Guru Ramana. I remember him for instilling in me the discipline, the Anga Shuddham, which is so essential for dance, a sense of rhythm, and a thought that one must, as a dancer, must always be perfect, no compromise. I trained for several years, and probably I was one of his best students. But then, due to life's journey, studies, marriage, job, and many things, I had to take a break from dance. I would say my second innings was with Kuchipudi. And probably now when I look back, I say it was destiny which took me to Kuchipudi. It all started just from hearing about the visit of Guru C.R. Acharyalu, who was a legend by that time. And though he had trained in Kuchipudi, he also excelled in the Alaya Sampradaya, where one does items like the Navasandhi, the drawing of the Vahana of the gods. Like for Lord Subramanyam, you draw the peacock, the vehicle of Subramanyam. For Devi, you draw the figure of a lion. And for Lakshmi, it's not her Vahana, but it's the place where she stays, the lotus. I was amazed, because I wondered how could one dance and using the padakarmas paint these images through dance. A young age, curiosity, and the desire to be different attracted me, and I approached him, and I was fortunate that he accepted me as his student and also trained me to do my Ranga Pravesham in Kuchipudi. I learnt for several years, but since he was based in Ahmedabad, he would visit Bangalore every year. And during that time, because I had a strong foundation in Bharatnatyam, I was able to learn Kuchipudi quite easily. But later, of course, Acharyalu was old, as I told you, as I met him. I was fortunate, as I said, destiny. The government of Karnataka sent me for a workshop to learn in Warangal, that's in Andhra Pradesh, under the legendary Guru Vedantam Prahlada Sharma. There I learned the solo aspects of Kuchipudi. It was not easy. It was not easy because I didn't know the language. I didn't know the nativity of Telugu. I was a city-born girl, and I was a Kannadiga. But then, what kept my interest and passion was, I had begun to love Kuchipudi. And the eyes of my Guru, the way he lived his life, the way he expressed, he was a strict master. But his eyes when I looked to, his face when I looked to, and when I looked to the way that he disciplined himself, I said, this is how a Guru should be. And my journey, my love for Kuchipudi started growing deeper and deeper and deeper. I learned several items from him. And again, he was based in Eluru. Eluru is Andhra Pradesh, and I in Bangalore. I was married, I was working. I couldn't pursue it for many years because he never traveled to Bangalore. Again, it was the language barrier, many things, but the only thing that connected us was the common interest that he wanted to teach me, and I was eager to learn from him, and the passion for dance that I wanted to be a Kuchipudi dancer and he wanted to create a dancer in me. So I was fortunate again. And when I returned back to Karnataka and presented what my gurus had taught me, these gurus, both of them, Acharyalu and Prahlada Sharma, were very traditional gurus. They lived in Andhra and they were probably orthodox, or they didn't want to cross or the bars of tradition. And people in Bangalore, in Karnataka, were not very much exposed to that rustic, traditional Kuchipudi then. This was, I think, 30 years back. What was very much known in Karnataka was the Kuchipudi that was systemized, beautified and spread by none other than Padma Bhushan Vempati Chinna Satyam. Later, when they did not accept my style, or because of that they did not know about this form, there where my real journey to Kuchipudi began, and I wanted to know the depths of Kuchipudi. This took me to every nook and corner in Andhra, and it was then that I realized there are three aspects to Kuchipudi. The Yakshagana format, that is the Natyamela tradition performed only by men who told stories from the epics, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and other Puranas as well. And the other aspect was Golla Kalapam and Bhama Kalapam, and as performed by Vedantam Satyanarayana Sharma, where the man in person, it is called the Rupanurupa, where the man dons the role of Satyabhama. So later, several years later, again thanks to the government of India, that they sent me to learn the entire Bhama Kalapam from this legendary Padma Shri Vedantam Satyanarayana Sharma at Kuchipudi village. It was a 15 days severe, in-depth workshop, and that was already for those who had several years of training in Kuchipudi. And Bhama Kalapam being the piece of Kuchipudi, I was fortunate to learn this from him. And the Yakshagana, I was fortunate to learn from Bharata Kala Prapurna, Korada Narsimha Rao. I later interacted with several gurus, had workshops. This was because I was away from Andhra. Given a chance, I would have loved to be under the guidance of one guru. Well, destiny has its own plans, and probably that's why today, in this process, I trained under all of them, learned things, absorbed things from them, and today I can say that I know the essence of Kuchipudi, if not Kuchipudi as a whole. This is my journey, 33 years into Kuchipudi, under the blessings and tutelage of legendary gurus. So several years of training. I think I trained like this in Kuchipudi for almost 8 to 9 years, and I started becoming a performer. I got lot of course, I remember C.R. Acharyalu, who wrote a letter to several of the organizers saying that she is a wonderful student of mine. And from one performance, I got raving reviews from very good critics, and I started performing in the major cities of India. Several years, that was all solo. And in those days, it was Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay, many places, Maharashtra, Orissa. For several years, people wanted to see only solo. Then there came a time when people wanted to see group choreographies. That's when after some time when my guru had told me to start classes, I was scared because I said teaching is a great responsibility and I don't want to teach so early. But again, I must thank C.R. Acharyalu, who said, you start the teaching and I come every year to support you. And very hesitantly, I started my school, Shambhavi School of Dance in Bangalore, which is the Gurukul in Bangalore, which has trained few students, but very good students around the globe. And Atmananda is one of my students. I have other students too in the US, UK, China, Thailand, Israel, other than India. I started classes, and it was also the time when people wanted group choreographies. Initially, I started teaching only in Bharatanatyam, but later I felt that I had stopped doing Bharatanatyam. I said, since my professionalism and my depth of knowledge was getting deeper in Kuchipudi, and I was fascinated by Kuchipudi, let me start teaching Kuchipudi. And I told all my students to continue with Kuchipudi. And once they started training, slowly I encouraged them to be a part of my choreography. Of course, then when the students were still in their growing phase, my choreography was simple. But as they started learning better and they had that maturity, my choreographer, I started blooming as a choreographer.